Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Thousand Oaks Council meeting for June 25th. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Irwin?
Here.
Councilmember Price?
Here.
Councilmember Adam?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fox is absent. Mayor Bill de la Pena?
Present. And for our residents audience, viewing audience, as noted, Mayor Pro Tem Andy Fox is not with us tonight. His mother, 89-year-old mother, passed away this weekend, Dorothy Ann Fox. Our thoughts are with Andy's family, entire family, and we will plan an adjournment in memory of Mrs. Fox during the next council meeting, which is July 9th. All right, I don't think there are any requests for any continuances, and we will move to special presentations. And the very first one involves John Short, and please give me a moment to move to the podium to make the presentation. Okay, as I mentioned just a second ago, our first presentation tonight includes and involves John Short, and I invite him to the podium, and he is here. Occasionally, we have the honor to recognize an individual that has truly given of himself or herself to benefit the youth of our community. Tonight, we are honored to recognize John Short for his 16 years of volunteer service to the Thousand Oaks Little League. John has held the position of president for the past 12 years, and through his leadership, Thousand Oaks Little League has rebuilt score towers, placed sod on all infields, constructed batting cages, constructed a new concession stand, and for the last 7 years have held the Strikeout Lou Gehrig's Disease baseball tournament, raising over $1 million. Throughout John's tenure with the Thousand Oaks Little League, he has never lost sight of it's all about the kids, as he helped to shape and mold the lives of our future generations through one of the greatest team sports, which is baseball. John, thank you for your extraordinary leadership skills on and off the field. You may applaud if you want to. And a standing ovation. There you go. This commendation mentions what I left out in my introduction, which is that some of the highlights of John's career and service to Little League includes going to the World Series 5 times, the creation of a year-round baseball program, the Bulldogs, promotion of memorable opening day ceremonies, and co-hosting, as I mentioned, the Strikeout Lou Gehrig's Disease baseball tournament for the past 7 years. And as we all know, it's always been about the children, about the kids for John, and it is bittersweet that you are retiring after such a long time, but you have left quite an impact, quite a mark on Thousand Oaks youth, sports, baseball, Little League, that will be forever etched into our history and our minds. So thank you very much, John, for giving your personal time. We would like to take a picture with all the council members, and then City Manager Scott Mitnick also has a few words.
Okay,
Okay.
One more with my favorite mayor.
Okay, very good.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, all of us have moved to Thousand Oaks or live in Thousand Oaks for a variety of reasons. We all feel it's a special community in which to live, work, raise a family, recreate, etc. And tonight you're recognizing one individual for many years of service. And it's really not just about John. It's another example, another reminder of what makes Thousand Oaks special. It's about the people in the community. It's about people who volunteer and give back to the community. Here tonight you see several of the all-stars from different ages from Thousand Oaks Little League. Their coaches rearranged their schedules so they could have a break from practice to be here to show support to John. John's been a good mentor, friend, and leader for an extended period of time. So this is an example of what makes Thousand Oaks great. And it's just one organized sport, one leader, and there are dozens of John Shorts in this community. And I've been known John for a long time. I've been a father of two guys who play in the league for many years, and I've seen him work firsthand. So we're honoring somebody special. Thanks for allowing me to speak, and John, all the best to you.
Good evening. I'm usually not short for words, no pun intended, but I do have a little thing I want to share with everybody this evening, if I may. Good evening, Mayor, as we've already spent some time together, council members, city manager, and staff. I'd like to also thank the City Council, the Canejo Recreation Park District, and the Canejo Unified School District for the past 12 years that we've had an opportunity to work together. Thousand Oaks is a better place because of the unique abilities for all the agencies to work together for the common good of all. Thanks to my family for their support for the past 16 years that I've been involved in Thousand Oaks Little League and 12 years as a president. As a president of any successful youth sports organization, it takes a tremendous amount of time away from your family. Many late nights, many long weekends, and I do believe I've even missed a birthday dinner along the way. But the support and understanding of my family over the past 12 years as a president has made it much easier. So I personally like to thank my wife, Sue, my sons, Johnny and Daniel, and the newest member of my roster, my 5-year-old grandson, Christopher, for being there for me all these years. Our children are half of our population, but they're 100% of our future. As we as adults have an obligation to help mold and shape the youth and the model stewards of our great community. Thousand Oaks Little League has a vision, a simple one: teach the youth the game of baseball, all while making them better stewards of the community. We are feared by all on the field, loved by most off the field. We are a force to be reckoned with on the field. We have traveled the county and the country, from Thousand Oaks to Oxnard, from Cooperstown, Pennsylvania, to Tempe, Arizona, from Washington to South Carolina. We have played against the best of the best, and by any measure, we have fared out better than most. Thousand Oaks Little League is the most successful Little League in the history of the United States in postseason play, including in just past 12 years, 34 postseason victories, including 5 trips to the World Series, bringing home 4 U.S. championships and 1 World Series title. As a president of a Little League, some of the proudest moments have been off the field. Our league has instilled the importance of becoming good stewards, not only to our community, but to our great country. Thousand Oaks Little League represents, including co-hosting the Strikeout Lou Gehrig's tournament for the past 7 years, putting over 400 care packages together for our military overseas, collecting 250 bags of groceries for MANA, feeding the hungry in Thousand Oaks, even making blankets for the homeless in our community, and also visiting the Cancer Research Center in Greenville, South Carolina, the afternoon before the Thousand Oaks Big League team won the World Series in 2006. We have and will continue to share the love of Thousand Oaks and our unique ability to leave the world just a little bit better place than we found it. I have given everything to Thousand Oaks Little League over the past 12 years as a president, but the league has given me much more in return. And I thank all the families here tonight and those that couldn't be here for allowing me that opportunity. In the words of a great leader, everyone can be great because they can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You only have to have a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Dr. Martin Luther King, civil rights leader. Thousand Oaks Little League does serve both on and off the field with class and distinction in each of the communities in which we play. To the mayor, the city council, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my thoughts this evening, and thank you for your kindness as well as your generosity. Thank you, Thousand Oaks Little League, for the past 12 years. It's truly been a blast and one heck of a ride. And finally, a message from your president, and this is probably the last one. Thousand Oaks Little League does rock forever, and that's the bottom line. Good night, folks. They want to take a picture with my best friend. Yeah, hey guys, Teal, come on down here, front and center. There you go. Come on, guys. Thank you, guys. All good? All good.
All right. While the chamber clears, after this wonderful send-off, I would like to invite Fran Burrow, trustee for the Conejo Futures Foundation, to the podium. Here we go. Good evening. Each year, the Conejo Las Virginas Future Foundation Youth Leadership Program provides local students the opportunity to experience and understand the value of becoming active in their communities. Fran, please tell us more about the program.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, but a good one to dovetail on because we too promote leadership amongst our youngsters. First of all, I want to thank the City of Thousand Oaks for their generous support of this program for almost 30 years. The Canal Las Virginas Future Foundation is proud to bring this unique leadership opportunity to the students in our region. Many of our youngsters get launched into the adult world, leave the nest, go on to college and careers, and come home for visits. This program gives them a chance to see opportunities here at home and give back to the community in which they were raised. I'd like to introduce two of Conejo's finest students to you, Anna Gugas and Taylor Lavello, and they will tell you about this year's adventures. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anna Gugas. I go to Thousand Oaks High School. I'll be going into the 10th grade, and it's my first year of the Youth Congress Leadership Program.
My name is Taylor Lavello. I go to Thousand Oaks High School. I'm going to be a sophomore as well, and this was also my first year in the Youth Congress Leadership Program. The Youth Congress Leadership Program, sponsored by the Conejo Las Virginas Future Foundation, is in its fourth year. It replaced the Youth Congress program that ran for 25 years. As its main objective, the program encourages students to understand the inner workings of their community and, as a result, actively participate in it. The program offers a real-time understanding of the community and also helps students develop valuable leadership skills. Each meeting was unique in its nature and very informative. This year, the 65 participants had the opportunity to visit various places in the region to find out how they each contribute to our communities. Students in grades 9 through 12 participated and included those from Agoura, Calabasas, Lorena, Oak Park, Oaks Christian, Newberry Park, Thousand Oaks, Viewpoint, and Westlake High Schools. Returning participants were given the opportunity to hold leadership positions in the program. This program began with an orientation at the Conejo Recreation and Park District, where we were given an insightful presentation on leadership by the President and CEO of Hugh Bryan Youth Leadership. Our next meeting about the Wall Street and banking was held at the Agoura Hills Calabasas Community Center. A financial advisor and a banker spoke to us about the basic structure of banking, the fundamental concepts of investing, and the economy. We then participated in an investment competition where teams of 5 to 6 students created mock stock portfolios and were tracked throughout the program, and the winning group was announced at the last meeting. This was followed by a visit to Las Virginas Municipal Water District, where we learned about water issues in California. We were divided into 2 groups, one representing Northern California and the other Southern California. We then discussed how the South needed water from the North, with the South figuring out the best way to bargain for it. It was quite entertaining and highly informative. Our next meeting was at the Canejo Players Theater. With the tour around the theater, the students not only learned how crucial teamwork and cooperation are in the execution of a play, but also realized the effort and hard work it takes to stage a play.
Our next meeting was at the Oak Park Unified School District, where Superintendent Dr. Knight provided us with an in-depth knowledge of what it is like to work in education today. He also brought our attention to the most current issues in education. Our next visit was to the Los Robles Medical Center East Campus, where we enjoyed a tour of the facility, as well as presentations by a dietitian, a cardiac rehabilitation nurse, the program director of the Transitional Care Unit, and many more. With the next meeting held at the Malibu Lost Hills Sheriff Station, we gained a deep understanding of law enforcement. We enjoyed a tour of the entire station, including the jail, and learned firsthand what goes on inside a police station and how it functions to provide the greatest security for the people. Next, we went to the King Gillette Ranch, where we learned about the environment and ecosystems. We then went on a tour of the facility, a trip that provided both education and fun. We also got to examine several exhibits that provided us a detailed understanding of California's geographical and archaeological past. Each meeting was an entirely different experience. The speakers gave us excellent information about how they worked within the community to bring about results and make our communities a better place to live. We were all enlightened from these presentations and received wonderful opportunities to volunteer and actively participate. We concluded the program with a meeting at Oak Canyon Community Park, where the Kiwanis Club of Thousand Oaks prepared a delicious barbecue dinner that we enjoyed with our families. We would like to thank all of the very important community leaders who took the time to meet with us. They all helped to make this year's program a great success. Thank you.
Mayor, I believe the family would like some pictures. If the girls could go up with the mayor. Folks, did you want to?
Yes, we're going to take some pictures here at the podium.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, it's an evening filled with youth, from sports to the Conejo Future Foundation to now the Conejo Recreation and Park District. I'm not talking about the board members. All right. It is always a pleasure to have representatives from the Conejo Recreation and Park District to join us, and we would like to invite Sue Holt. Can you?
I can do it.
You can do it.
I
Great.
can do
Okay, very good. To come to the podium. The city has had and has been enjoying a wonderful partnership with the CRPD. CRPD has proven to improve physical and mental health and well-being while contributing to the overall welfare of our residents. And I have to say, without the CRPD, Thousand Oaks would not be the city that it is.
Thank you. So good evening, and again, thank you, Mayor and council members, City Manager Scott, and city staff. Thank you for having us. Joining me this evening from CRPD, come on guys, come on up. We have our Vice Chair, Joe Gibson, and Director Ed Jones, and Director Chuck, I can't turn around too well here, and our General Manager, Jim Friedel. So just stand with me, this will be brief. Anyway, this year CRPD is really happy to be celebrating our 50th year, our 50th anniversary, 50 years of providing parks and recreation programs in this community. Our founding city council members and district directors realized early on that two governmental agencies working together could provide more services and places to create a great quality of life for our community. And our community, as you know, is recognized as one of the best places anywhere to raise a family and to live. As we put together the video we are about to show you, we decided to use the theme of partnerships. And as you're about to see, we are most proud and grateful for our many partnerships with the City of Thousand Oaks. Incidentally, I do want to mention that this video was part of an application we made to the NRPA, National Recreation and Park Association, and we were a winner in our population category, and we're really proud of that too. So it was part of the application. As the district prepares to celebrate July as Recreation and Park Month during our 50th anniversary, we appreciate this opportunity to come here tonight and say thank you. Thanks for your support of parks and recreation and open space. And we look forward to continuing to collaborate to benefit our residents. You know, together we really are the best. We hope you enjoy this movie, this show. Thanks, guys. We'll come back.
Welcome to the beautiful community of Thousand Oaks, California. Located in Ventura County, adjacent to the Santa Monica Mountains, Thousand Oaks is 15 miles north of Malibu and 40 miles west of downtown Los Angeles. The Conejo Valley is rich in history, with early Hollywood studios filming many movies and classic television shows, like Gunsmoke and The Rifleman. The Dallas Cowboys trained here during the 70s, and the Conejo Valley is home to the 2004 Little League World Series U.S. champions. I'm Veronica Dunn. Join us on an adventure through the beautiful community of Thousand Oaks, California, and the Conejo Recreation and Park District.
Formed in 1962, the Canal Recreation and Park District is governed by a publicly elected 5-member board of directors serving 136,000 people in a 63-square-mile area. The district is committed to providing high-quality activities at its community centers and special facilities. Each year we offer more than 3,000 programs, everything from Mommy and Me to senior softball. Every member of the community is a priority for us. The hallmark of the Conejo Recreation and Park District's success is its partnerships with governmental agencies, community institutions, local service clubs, and businesses.
Partnerships in Thousand Oaks are extremely important. We're in an era of limited resources, so none of us can do it alone. Most importantly is our partnership with CRPD in Costco.
In 1977, the district, with the city of Thousand Oaks, formed the Conejo Open Space Conservation Agency to acquire and preserve natural lands as protected, publicly accessible open space. Our community is now comprised of 37% open space. 98% of our residents live within 1 mile of a trailhead, leading to over 140 miles of multi-use trails.
We would not be able to manage and maintain that amount of open space without our partnership with CRPD.
When summer arrives, everyone loves a refreshing swim in a pool. To meet that need, a unique three-way partnership was formed to develop the community pool at California Lutheran University.
The three-way partnership, university, city, and CRPD, is crucial. The university provided the land. CRPD was able to provide funds for the building and able to operate it. And the city kicked in with financial support too. Without each one of those three pieces, it wouldn't have happened. And I am so grateful to the people from the Park District and the city that came up with it and pushed it.
In 2011, the Mccray Ranch Visitor Center opened, which provides public access to a pristine piece of property donated to the district by the family of Joel and Frances Mccray. The Visitor Center was made possible by 2 grants from the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. The center provides visitors with first-hand experiences of California ranch life.
This is my home, the Young Artists Ensemble. The district has provided our community youth with amazing programs, such as the Teen Summer Musical, to help us explore our creative passions. Here we develop special friendships, confidence in ourselves, and gain valuable life experience in this enriching environment. The district is committed to providing opportunities and support for youth and teens to engage in positive and meaningful activities.
The outreach program has a big impact on the city of Thousand Oaks being one of the safest cities in the nation. We could not have the safe community that we enjoy without this partnership. I've watched them talk to kids. I've watched them involved with families. That is the impact that they have, and that is what's so critical.
The Reign of Terror haunted house gives teens a fun and scary experience.
I really just started off wanting to recreate what I had as a kid for just the local neighborhood kids. The event could not go on with me alone. We needed that infrastructure that the district could provide. All the proceeds of the haunted house benefit 2 groups. One is the Teen Center and the other is the Young Artists Ensemble. So as they come in and they're paying to come through the haunted house, they're really paying to add something into their community through the charities that the proceeds of the haunted house benefit. And it's really because of the Jan's Marketplace and the Conejo Recreation and Park District and my ability to make a haunted house that's really made this partnership and this Reign of Terror what it is today.
The Conejo Recreation and Park District manages more than 13,000 acres of open space, 140 miles of multi-purpose trails, patrolled by park rangers and volunteers, are popular destinations for mountain bikers, hikers, and equestrians. We are also a key partner in the administration of the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, which manages 69,000 acres of prime open space in the Santa Monica Mountains, as well as Los Angeles County.
The district is in a dry climate and must rely 100% on imported water. Non-essential turf areas are being replaced with drought-resistant plants and ground cover. To date, 80% of our irrigation heads have been replaced with controllers that monitor the weather and automatically adjust watering schedules. To enhance both communication and marketing, the district is focusing on technology and social media. Our website has been completely redesigned to make it easier for visitors to learn about and participate in our parks and programs. And it works well. An impressive 90% of all class registration is done by way of our user-friendly registration program. The sports unit now provides field condition status to area sports organizations via smartphone. And the Teen Center Facebook page has been a successful promotion too, with thousands of likes.
Every 5 years, the City of Thousand Oaks conducts a comprehensive attitude survey. This survey gives important feedback on how the public views district services. In 2009, 97% of residents surveyed were very satisfied or satisfied with the district's maintenance of parks and facilities. 88% were very satisfied or satisfied with the offering of recreation programs. And an impressive 91% said that someone in their household visited a park or recreation facility in the last year.
The Thousand Oaks Teen Center, now approaching its 23rd anniversary, provides a fun, social environment of educational and recreational programs for our future leaders.
The advisory committee here is a group of teens that get together and we talk about current events going on at the Teen Center, and we basically just give our input on things we'd like to see.
I really like being able to give my voice and help other kids.
When you sit back and you look at all the kids having fun at a dance or at a concert, and you're just like, I helped plan that.
There's
There's so many things that this place offers.
Basketball league and a volleyball one as well.
Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve dance.
Stained glass.
Stained glass, yeah. Then there's this whole entire recreation room. There's ping pong, pool, arcade games. The Canejo Recreation and Park District has created a place that is continually evolving. It's always changing. There are always new programs happening.
We also have the Battle of the Bands.
Pool tournaments, ping pong tournaments.
Dodgeball tournaments. Magic Mountain, Disneyland Beach. There's dances, there's talent shows, there's a spirit night for the middle schools, art classes, and if you want to learn a musical instrument or
photography.
The SAT, ACT courses and workshops.
Be everything you could possibly want to do over summer and during the year. Bridge. No,
Serving the needs of people with disabilities is a priority for the district. Our Therapeutic Recreation Unit provides an array of recreation and social programs, offering everything from Special Olympics competitions to enrichment classes, as well as important social opportunities. And our award-winning Conejo Theater for Everyone is now in its 9th year, featuring actors with and without disabilities, working side by side to perform in fully produced theatrical productions.
The 21,000 square foot Global Senior Adult Center provides a wide variety of activities, events, and social services, as well as a nutrition program to an ever-growing senior population. The Produce Outreach is a special partnership between the district, Food Share of Ventura County, and Panera Bread, which provides over 200 Conejo Creek families in need with vital food resources twice a month.
Last year, our volunteers contributed more than 10,000 service hours to the district programs and events. In addition to the district's program volunteers, we are also the proud sponsor of the community's RSVP program.
RSVP, Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, is a program that utilizes the skills and talents of adults aged 55 and over to benefit our community. We have over 1,000 volunteers here in the Conejo Valley, and we serve over 65 different nonprofit agencies. The Conejo Recreation and Park District, they understand the value of RSVP. Our income tax program is just a great program. We served over 1,200 families in our community. We were able to save our low-income seniors and low-income residents over $200,000. This program was able to refund over $500,000 that went back into the pocket of people in our community who really need it. Each month, we send over 50 care packages to our troops. We get letters back from them saying we know that somebody still cares about what we're doing.
The Conejo Recreation and Park District works with more than 50 athletic organizations to meet the recreational needs of youth and adult athletes in the community. AYSO Region 9 recently contributed nearly $1 million and pledged an additional $550,000 for capital projects and improvements to the district's Conejo Creek South Soccer Complex.
A variety of nonprofit partners work with us to operate facilities enriching our residents' lives. One special relationship is with Ride On Therapeutic Horsemanship.
What you find is the children that experience Ride On, and you see the joy the children get out of it, and you see what it does for them, where it affects their self-esteem, their self-confidence.
I don't know exactly how to convey how important it's been to our family and how amazing it is that the whole community comes together, which makes a huge difference in people's lives.
I'm incredibly impressed by the district. They are so creative in the way they put these pieces together. The staff is so proactive and imaginative in seeking out new programs.
The last day I pick her up, she's sitting there with all the other girls, and you look at her and she's like, she's one of the group. She's being one of the group. You don't get that everywhere.
But it's given me freedom. I can do so much more than I ever thought I could do. I wish people could tell you how I was when I first came here. I didn't talk. I say hi to everybody now.
It is extremely rare to run into an organization like the Park District that has that sense of mission.
Through the efforts and success of the Conejo Recreation and Park District, Thousand Oaks offers one of the richest community experiences and is the best place to live on earth.
Well, after seeing this video, who doesn't want to live in Thousand Oaks? Thank you. Thank you for putting on a 12-minute video that shows the highlights of Thousand Oaks, what we have to offer as a community. Sue, I'm going to have to ask you to come back up here. And it is with much pride that on behalf of the City Council, I'm presenting you the proclamation in honor of National Park and Recreation Month and Conejo Recreation and Park District 50th anniversary. As I said, it takes two to tango, right? Yeah. But without the CRPD, Conejo Recreation Park District, we wouldn't be this very special community that we are, and truly a jewel in Southern California. And I'm presenting to you this proclamation and congratulations on 50 years of CRPD.
Oh, thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you.
And I would like to invite the City Council again to take a picture with the board with the board. Here we go. And the board, the council, and Mr. Friedel, of course. Anyone else here from the Park District?
Okay. My nurse.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding. That's it. You probably have one of these.
Yes, we do. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Somebody hold this.
I will raise it.
All right. I believe that this is our fourth council meeting on the iPad, and I'm not sure it's going a little slowly here tonight. We are now going to public comments. Madam Clerk.
This is the time and place for public comments. A speaker card is available for those wishing to address the City Council regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the City's jurisdiction. All remarks should be addressed to the Council as a whole, and all documents for City Council and the official record should be presented to the City Clerk prior to speaking. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the Council unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the City Manager for administrative follow-up. 3 people have presented cards, and pursuant to Council standards, speakers are allowed 3 minutes. The yellow light displays when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our first speaker is Jerry Feineroff, followed by Kristen Toscano and Nick Kidwai. Jerry Feineroff. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Bill de la Pena, council members, and staff. We're here tonight representing hundreds of Thousand Oaks residents that express concern over 2 very pressing issues: fire-resistant landscapes and hillside home view sheds. You've been provided with packets that include pictures. It seems somewhat appropriate that I should follow a beautiful presentation that talked about drought-resistant plants and shortages of water. The Ventura County Fire Marshal's 2009 Safe Landscapes Project identified certain species of trees as having characteristics that make them highly flammable. Some grow to 180 feet tall, and some of them are at the bottom of our hill. According to the Fire Response Agency, though it may be possible to reduce the risk of fire with intensive pruning and wide spacing, neither of those exist at the bottom of the hill, by the way, they do not recommend these species to be near homes in high fire zones such as those that exist in our city. The Safe Landscape Project admonished us to develop and manage environmentally friendly areas with a fire-resistant landscape where hardscape and plants are maintained that do not easily ignite and transmit wildfires. Each year, the Ventura County Fire Marshal requires us to remove brush and plants from our hillside. They strongly recommend clearance of at least 200 feet from all structures. However, some of the trees at the bottom of our hill have grown so tall that if they were to fall upward in the direction of our hill, they would come well within the 200 feet of our homes, sending embers flying in the direction of our decks and eaves. We all moved here to enjoy the peacefulness and natural surroundings of our city, and no one wants the trees to disappear. But fire-safe landscapes are created by common sense maintenance. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Not at this moment. Thank you.
Okay. Interestingly enough, the common sense maintenance is also the answer to the second part of our presentation today.
Thank you. Kristen Toscano, followed by Nick Kidwai.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. With regard to view sheds, the first hillside homes in Thousand
Mrs. Toscano, would you mind using the other microphone so we can hear you better? The one to your left? Thank you.
Okay. That's better. With regard to view sheds, the first hillside homes in Thousand Oaks were built in Kevington in 1977. Since then, there have been many similar developments, and in each community, buyers were enticed with panoramic views of the Conejo Valley and charged a premium price for those views. Cities such as Malibu, Burbank, Palos Verdes, Torrance, Rolling Hills, Westlake Village, and many others have developed codes to deal with viewshed problems. Some have adopted ordinances that set forth safety guidelines regarding the density and height of trees within a 300-foot proximity of residential property. Others have adopted codes that usually take the form of a three-step process. First, you try to work out the problem with your neighbor. Second, an application for view restoration is filed. If the city determines that the foliage in question exceeds 16 feet and that it significantly impairs a view, a certified letter is sent to the foliage owner asking them to voluntarily trim the foliage within 30 days or requiring them to attend a mediation meeting. If an agreement cannot be reached, the parties are then required to attend an arbitration meeting, the results of which are binding. A petition requesting a similar ordinance was signed by about 400 Thousand Oaks residents in 2008, but was not adopted. The city of Westlake Village has such an ordinance, and it has been very successful in resolving these disputes. We've made many attempts over the years to discuss this matter with the 5 neighbors in question. 3 of them were agreeable at first, the other 2 would not discuss it with us, and as a result managed to convince 2 of the agreeable neighbors to change their minds. Further, we have offered to have the work done by an arborist in an effort to protect the trees, and lastly, we offered to pay for the work. What more can we do? In 2008, the city approved a mediation process. We attempted to use this avenue, but since it was not an ordinance, it cannot be enforced. When Two of the neighbors in question replied that they were not interested. That was the end of the mediation process available to us. We are aware that in 1999, the city established a committee to address issues relating to building heights and view sheds. That was 14 years ago. Our city has gone through a lot of changes since then, and the fact that this issue has not gone away, but instead is increasing, proves that it is now time for the city of Thousand Oaks to adopt an ordinance to provide this much-needed vehicle to resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Nick Kidwai.
I begin in the name of God, who is most beneficial, most merciful. My name is Nick Iqbal Kidwai. I'm a resident of Newbury Park. Last time I checked, Director of Concerned Citizens of Thousand Oaks. 50 years for the CRPD, 20 years for us. And we are not going strong. And you know the reason why. I would like help from TOTV as usual. That's City Manager Emeritus. He wrote to the city in 2011 asking the city to do, council to do its job and take up the issue of Hooters. Those are some of the signatures. There were over 650 people who came out in opposition to this atrocity, and they were granted a liquor license by the staff because their hands were tied. But they have not applied for a liquor license. So what is going on there? I mean, would the city manager or somebody enlighten us as to why they went through the process a second time and they have not got the liquor license? Also, it's been months since I pointed out that they are in violation of the city code by using Hooters on their windows, and it's available. It's just a completely blatant violation of city codes, and I have not had the chance to fax it. One should not have to fax the form. If I make a comment about it in public comments, the staff should inquire and have that thing taken down. If TV can show this, I mean, next meeting is the key meeting on July 9th when the indoor marketplace extravaganza will come over here. Unfortunately, the city has not done its job, and it is classified as a swap meet, which it ain't. That's why, in fact, there's a active campaign by some people to deny them their due process rights and have a nice business coming there. In fact, in the homes that are gated community by Amgen Rancho, a flyer was sent with no names, etc., with complete misinformation. The charge is made that, well, something like this doesn't belong in the area. For the edification of the council members that think that this is only for Fortune 500, there's a successful Goodwill store right across from Skyworks, and on the other side is Amgen. So all these things belong in that shopping center, and we have a very bad vacancy rate, and this is a state-of-the-art new concept that these people are bringing, and we are lucky that they have chosen Newbury Park, and it's a disgrace that the city council, the comments that were made and that they were brought back and that they have to reach out to the neighbors as if these people were running for mayor. I mean, some people have problems with them. You cannot change them. They're not politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kidwai. That concludes public comments, and Mr. Mitnick may have some additional comments regarding the issues raised.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, staff would be happy to follow up with the two speakers at the beginning who raised the view shed ordinance and fire hazards issue. So we'll have Gary Rogers, who's filling in the acting assistant city manager role, chat with you, get your contact information. But as a reminder to the council, no, this item is not on the agenda, but as a reminder, this issue has been raised over the years, most recently in 2005, 2006, and the previous Residents Roundtable studied the issue extensively, and their ultimate recommendation was not to pursue a view shed ordinance for the community. The issues has been vetted through the years, and there are certainly pros and cons with having such an ordinance, but Thousand Oaks has not had a view shed ordinance, and no homeowner has a right to a view, just as a reminder. So we will follow up with them, and where appropriate too on the setbacks, we'll be happy to have the fire department and COSCA and so on, and other staff members work with you to make sure your concerns are identified and fully addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Mitnick. We now move to item 7, which is our consent calendar. Any items which council members request to be pulled? Mr. Adam?
Yes, thank you. We do have quite a few consent items, and I would like to pull 7C, D, J, and K.
Mr. Adam pulls 7C, D, J, and K. Any additional items from other council members? None. I'm looking for a motion to approve the remainder of the calendar. Mrs. Irwin?
I'll move the remainder of the calendar.
Please vote.
Motion carries 4-0 with Councilmember Fox absent.
Thank you. Okay, item 7C.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. From Mr. McComb, hi. How are you tonight?
Yes,
just a clarification. I mean, I understand what's happening here. One of the council priorities has been that the level of performances would be increased, and we're going to do that through the foundation. But in doing so, there's going to be a little more risk involved. We're going to move away from some of the low-cost performances we've had in the past. I'm all for that. Believe me. I'm wondering about a phrase that was used here. So the enterprise fund will waive some fees to make some of these performances a little more easy for the foundation to present. Fees like the rent, some of the rent fees, facility fees, ticket fees, et cetera, but you go on to call it a shared revenue plan. Shouldn't it be a shared expense plan? I mean, it sounds like the two entities are sharing expenses to make these performances more feasible.
Actually, the term shared revenue plan matches what's used within the industry, so it's an industry term. And shared expenses would be more what's considered to be a co-promotion, which is what it was previously titled, and a co-promotion is where two entities basically share the risk from dollar one, and if a program should make money, then they share the profit 50-50. If a program should lose money, then they share the loss 50-50. Entering into a co-promotion between the theater fund and the foundation then exposes the theater fund to much greater risk. The only time that this shared revenue is brought into play is if the foundation presents a high-risk performance that does not perform as well as we'd hoped it would, and it helps soften the loss. For example, at any given time recently we've had a balance of $250,000 to $300,000 in the reserve account for the foundation. However, in this coming season, the foundation is presenting programming that has a potential risk to it of over $1 million. Now, obviously, we're not really carrying that because we're selling tickets and some shows sell very well, but there are a few that don't. So it allows us to take on that additional risk to present the bigger name marquee attractions that without kind of that backstop for those cases where we don't do well, it softens our loss. If we didn't have that in play, then the foundation from a fiscal management standpoint couldn't take on those risks, and thus we would not be able to bring in some of the high-level artists that we do.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I understand now. I mean, I'm all in favor of the concept of stepping up our programming and bringing the best artists we can possibly bring. And I guess maybe what I hear you saying is that, in a sense, the enterprise fund is sharing revenue with the foundation by waiving certain fees, et cetera, to make the performance more feasible.
Exactly, and this is something that's actually done on a much broader basis with theaters across the country, and is how they many times will even attract a large commercial promoter, is by sharing some of those fees to help that really make it worth that commercial promoter's time to bring an artist in.
Okay, all right, great. Second thing, real quick on the concession that the foundation has taken on. It said in the report that we're looking for about $50,000 a year, and I think we started this back in September of 2012. We're paying Eagle about $25,000 a year to manage the program. Are we on So I guess that's where we about 8-9 months in now. Are we on track for that projected revenue of $50,000?
Not for our startup year because we had significant startup costs, but as the operation has kind of gotten its legs and we've really focused on the areas that are more profitable for us in our menu selection, I certainly believe that as we go into our second year of operation, which will begin actually next month, that we'll be on track to come in at that level.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, I think it was a good idea to take on the concession, and we can use the revenue stream.
And I might say that's actually one way to help wean us off the need to be involved in a revenue sharing plan with the enterprise fund, because that's an additional source of revenue coming into the foundation reserve account.
Okay. Yeah, I just want a little clarification. Now, let's see. On J, real quick, I think this is from Mr. Spurgeon. There he is. Hi.
Yes, hello.
So the fire burnt the guardrail and some of the landscape along Orchard Road. And the suggestion here is we need to replace both the guardrail and the vegetation for safety reasons, obviously, and aesthetic reasons. We'll pull the money from the Landscape and Lighting District Reserve to do so. And here's my question. We need to pay that money back. So tell me about some of the options that we will consider to replace those reserves.
Yes, absolutely. Good question. The first option, and which we are pursuing already, and that is to be reimbursed for these costs through either the state or the county, since this was a locally declared disaster. And there should be money available for paying back costs associated with this incident, again, either through the state or the county. So we're pursuing that first off. We'll find out some time from now whether or not we will be reimbursed, but in the meantime, we'll be looking at some of the other options, including filing a claim against our property insurance, city's property insurance. Right. Now, we have a deductible, obviously, but in excess of that, potentially there's some reimbursement that we could get through the insurance company. After that, we will likely come back and present some options to council. We could just use the landscape fund reserves and not pay them back. I mean, that's an option. We could also pay those back through a higher assessment rate for the Dos Fianos Ranch benefit zone, since this particular area, this zone, or the median along Orchard Road, really does benefit primarily the Dos Fianos residents. And in fact, this area is already in the landscape district and is maintained through the assessments already. And then finally, other funds, whether we were able to get some other kind of grant funding or even a general fund contribution back to the landscape district. So at this time, tonight, you're not actually approving, you're approving a construction contract award to get the work to proceed, since we do have a safety concern here. But the final decision on funding is not being made tonight by, you don't have to do that tonight, and we'll be back with more information later.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to be clear on that, and I'm assuming we'll exhaust all avenues that you mentioned before we talk about assessments. But the key point is tonight we need to replace that guardrail for safety reasons, and we need to do it quickly. And I completely understand that, but we're not being asked to vote tonight on options to replenish the fund. The council will consider that at a later date. All right, thank you. And just finally, we beg your indulgence for just one more moment on the bus service. Who's doing the bus service?
Councilmember, I'll be doing that for you.
Hi, how are you? So we're thinking about bus service on weekends. We know we're going to get lower ridership, maybe 400, which is about 60% of our weekday ridership. Do you anticipate a lot of that to be seniors? Or is there any way to tell? Or?
No specific way to tell at this point, but traditionally seniors make up about 8% of our total ridership. One of the things that we have done to try to promote that is by those riders that have the dial-a-ride cards are able to ride the bus service for free.
All right, that's interesting. I guess what my concern is this. This program's going to operate for 3 years, and it looks from what I've read in the staff report, it'll be, for that 3 years, it will be funded by that CMAQ grant. Tell me again what that stands for the benefit of the audience.
Congestion mitigation and air quality.
Okay, so we're going to get a free ride. How do you like that? A free ride on this bus service for 3 years.
That's correct.
Won't cost the city a dime.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. I think that's important. Just in a general comment, I think any program that the city undertakes has to pay for itself. And then presumably 3 years from now, we'll take a look at it and see where we stand, and will we have TDA funds or whatever to support it, and can the program support itself through fares and et cetera. But okay, so it's kind of a trial program. It's completely funded, and we'll see how it goes. All right, very good. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a speaker card, but I do have a question regarding item J. Oh, Mr. Price, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was interested in pulling K2 for similar reasons. I wanted to make sure that it was a revenue neutral, and to be clear, the free ride only goes for the first 60 days, I think, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So that there's no misinterpretation of what Councilmember Adams said. I got it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not a free ride for the riders. Okay, good. Thank you.
My question deals with item 7J for Mr. Adams or perhaps Mr. Spurgeon. How much money do we have left in what was the fund balance of the lighting district, the landscape district? Because that we're asking tonight to borrow money, so to speak, in order to pay for the repair.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but it's $2 or $3 million is in the fund balance. Now, there's a capital project that is slated for, I think, the second year of the budget. That is, I think, about $2 million. But between now and then, we'll be able to have figured out what we're going to do about the repayment.
Okay, because right now we don't, as far as I know, we don't have no HOA approval or anything of the proposal tonight that we would be paying, or that the residents would be paying the additional fee that possibly could incur or occur if CAL FIRE were not to reimburse the city, correct? So we will deal with that at a later time.
Yes, and should the council decide that is the way to repay the funds through an increased assessment for that benefit zone, that would be part of next year's landscape district process. So we would be able to do that at that time.
Okay, so tonight we're advancing the money then. All right. We do have a speaker before we approve the entire calendar, consent calendar, and that would be Mr. Nick Kidwai.
Nick Kidwai, resident of Newberry Park, still Director Concerned Citizen of Thousand Oaks. Nice laughter. I'm glad that some council people are having fun. Certainly not fun for people like us, taxpayers, to come over here for the grind and giving up our hard-earned tax dollars. First of all, I'd like to say that firmly opposed to the un-American minutes, which do not describe what happens, which is, you just commented CRPD. You read their minutes, and it makes you feel proud to be a Thousand Oaken. It is so disgusting what is happening in our nation from the top to the bottom. With the spying of all Americans by the Obama and George Bush administrations. If people had told me that, I would say they are un-American, they are opposed to this country, they are liars, cheats, etc. But it's the truth. And at the bottom level, look at the minutes. We don't even have accurate minutes anymore. And the staff, as well as the council, plays politics and gives follow-ups to certain people and asks legitimate questions about illegal signs at Hooters, and there's no response from anyone. What lousy government we have. If TOTV can show my overhead, I have been working in Santa Monica a little bit, and shows that they are facing the same problem about pensions. And I've been told that behind the scenes things are being worked out. Well, this is not the United States. This is not Chinese government. You do things in the open and as much as you can, and don't abuse the system. The consent calendar is supposed to be for routine items. You have stuck 16 items on it, and this council member is having fun asking questions. They should be in department reports. That's the way it should be. That's the right way to do it. In fact, I would implore the residents and concerned citizens that we will have a new grand jury seated next month, and we should really flood them with, I haven't done this, but I'm going to do this, is flood them with reports. I don't know if anybody will answer. Every agency that I know says that if a citizen, an American citizen is a big thing, comes and speaks against any item, that is removed from the consent calendar, and then you have to vote separately. But this council does not even take that step. And then the main reason I wanted to speak was going to the lowest common denominator. I mean, and you did not even address the issue of the Traffic Commission asking to be meeting at 6:30 instead of 7:30. My friend Eloisina helped form the commission. Her signature is on the document, and the argument given is that, well, the other people meet at 7 and 7:30. The CRPD meets at 7:30. No wonder, and they allow public comments in the beginning and at the end, and that's why they are held in high esteem, unlike the city council.
Thank you, Mr. Kidwai. And I'm looking for a motion to approve items. Oh, before we do that, well, no, let's do the motion first to approve items C, D, J, and K with the provision in item J that we come back regarding the funding of the Orchard Road median repair. That would be the only addition that I would have to make. Who would, so moved? Okay, that's, please vote then.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. And Mr. Mitnick would like Mr. Kidwai. Mr. Mitnick has a couple of comments for you regarding the statements you made. Mr. Kidwai? Okay, maybe not. We'll mention those comments at the very end. Or if you want to, regarding Hooters.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, comments and questions were made about the Hooters project, and what I would suggest is to have John Prescott, our Community Development Director, if he can catch Mr. Kidwai in the lobby there before he leaves, and then he'll take down exactly what his concerns are with respect to the signage issues. Staff is not aware of any alleged violations, but we'd be happy to look into that. And then his other questions about the liquor license and all that, we'd be happy to sit down with him and talk through the issues that he's identified. And then as necessary, we'll provide an update to City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mitnick. All right, we have no public hearings tonight, so we go directly to the Cultural Affairs Commission annual report, which will be provided and presented by the chair, Dr. Jerry Miller, followed by our Cultural Affairs Director, Barry McComb, for any comments, perhaps. Good evening, Dr. Miller.
Good evening. Mayor Bill De La Pena, members of the council, I am Jerry Miller, a resident of Thousand Oaks and chair of the Cultural Affairs Commission. It is my pleasure to provide you this evening with a brief overview of the Commission's activities over the past 12 months. First, a little background on the Commission. As you know, the Cultural Affairs Commission was established by this body in 2010 to serve as an advisory body to City Council on matters pertaining to the arts and cultural development in the city, with priority focus on the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza, Fred Cavely Theater, and Janet and Ray Scherer Forum Theater. The Commission is composed of 11 commissioners approved by City Council, with 8 members nominated by City Council's Cultural Arts Review Committee, 2 members nominated by the Alliance for the Arts, and one member nominated by the Friends of the Civic Arts Plaza. The Cultural Affairs Commission meets on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, with the exception of August when the Commission is on summer recess. The Cultural Affairs Commission is a working commission and as such fulfills the assigned responsibilities through a structure of standing committees and special ad hoc committees. Each commissioner serves on at least 2 working committees, which include theater operations, visual arts, grants, residency groups, and the Civic Arts Plaza Foundation. In addition, throughout the year, we form a number of ad hoc committees to focus on special projects or issues. An example of this is the Murals Committee to oversee the Murals project for the Civic Arts Plaza parking structure. This evening, I would like to highlight some of the major projects and activities that the Cultural Affairs Commission has been involved with this past year. First, the Community Cultural Grants Programs. Our Grants Committee has administrative oversight of the city's Community Events Endowment Fund, known as CEEF, and the City of Thousand Oaks Alliance for the Arts Theater Performance Grant Programs. $100,000 in CEEF grants are awarded annually for artistic, recreational, cultural, and educational events that promote the city. The city and Alliance for the Arts jointly fund $90,000 annually in theater performance credit grants, which are provided to local nonprofit arts organizations that perform in the Kavli Theater and or the Share Forum Theater. The application period was revised this year to provide grant awardees with earlier notice regarding grant funding in the coming fiscal year grant cycle. The first grant cycle, just ending, was for events taking place in fiscal year 2012-2013. The Grants Committee reviewed 43 grant applications with requests totaling $420,330. A total of 36 CEEF grants and 16 theater performance credit grants were approved by City Council in November 2012. The next grant cycle will be for events taking place in fiscal year 2013-14. The Grants Committee has received 44 grant applications with requests totaling $369,630. The committee's recommendations will be presented to City Council at your first meeting in September for action at that time. Next is the Civic Arts Plaza parking structure murals. The Commission's Ad hoc Murals Committee issued a call to artists in August 2012 seeking mural proposals to enhance the barren concrete walls of the Civic Arts Plaza parking structure. Over 50 proposals were received from artists, which the committee and the Cultural Affairs Commission narrowed to 21 proposals that were approved by City Council in February 2013. The Alliance for the Arts is currently seeking donations to underwrite the costs for installation of the approved murals and anticipates having funding in place for the first mural within the next 6 months. It is important to note that no murals will be installed until appropriate funding has been secured. Al, I'm sure you'll appreciate that. Official city cultural events. The Commission's Residency Committee spent a number of months researching and drafting a policy for an official city cultural event. This policy was approved by City Council last March 2013. The program provides in-kind city services and or financial support to deserving cultural events which enhance the community in the following ways: providing cultural and educational enrichment, celebrating the Conejo Valley's unique diversity, history, and heritage, enhancing pride and a sense of community, promoting a positive image for the City of Thousand Oaks, endorsing economic vitality. Official city cultural events encompass art forms of all kinds, including but not limited to visual arts, literature, music, theater, film, and dance. The Commission will forward as its first recommendation for official city cultural event designation to you for approval at your meeting July 9th, 2013. The Fred Kavli Theater Arts Gallery. The Commission's Visual Arts Committee curated and sponsored several visual arts exhibitions and events during fiscal year 2012-13. Two of the more notable exhibitions in the Fred Kavli Theater's Art Gallery included The View of the Worlds, the exhibit featuring 28 award-winning photographers, as well as painters Todd Bank and Vivian Christensen. The second, Visions of America. This exhibit featured the photographs of America's celebrated photo historian, Joseph Sohm, whose images were also incorporated into a January concert with the New West Symphony. The exhibit has featured the bronze sculptures of actor and sculptor Daniel Stern as well. All of the exhibitions in the Kavli Theater Art Gallery provided opportunities for the public to come and meet the artists. Another feature of this past year has been the 2012 Greater Conejo Valley Open Studio Tour. The Visual Arts Committee of the Commission also coordinated the city's semi-annual Conejo Valley Open Studio Tour, which took place on October 13-14 last fall. Over 30 artists from throughout the Conejo Valley opened their studios and invited the public to view their creative spaces and watch demonstrations. For the first time, the Open Studio Tour was held in partnership with neighboring cities Newberry Park, Westlake Village, and Agora Hills. The Cultural Affairs Commission also has the following ad hoc committees. As mentioned earlier, the Commission has a number of ad hoc committees which were formed over the last year to meet special needs of the Civic Arts Plaza and the local arts community. The Regional Cultural Events Committee was formed to explore opportunities to coordinate community-wide marketing efforts to support regional arts festivals and cultural events in the city. The Website Committee developed a number of enhancements for the current Civic Arts Plaza and Cultural Affairs Department web pages and has started planning for a new theater's website which will be independent of the city website. It'll be an addition and enhancement to the presentation of the theater's programs. It is anticipated that this new website will launch in early 2014. The Commission is also currently exploring the feasibility of forming an Arts Education Committee to focus on attracting and promoting arts education through school programs here at the Civic Arts Plaza. Future activities. In the coming fiscal year, the Commission will begin to explore in a new way funding options to underwrite the development of a master cultural plan for Thousand Oaks, and will work closely with the Cultural Affairs Department staff to support their efforts in balancing the theater's enterprise fund operating budget. We fully intend to do that. Barry McComb, our Cultural Affairs Director, and I are available to answer any questions that you might have or any further explanation. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report of the Commission.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Are there any questions? Mrs. Irwin has a question for you.
I just have a quick comment. We really do appreciate, when I look at 5 committees and 3 ad hoc committees, it seems like there has been an awful lot of effort put in the last year to get the arts rolling again in the right direction in Thousand Oaks. So we certainly appreciate everything you do, Mr. Miller, and everything the Cultural Affairs Committee does. Thank you.
Thank you. We fully intend to follow that way.
Very well. Mr. Adam.
Yeah, I would like to chime in and agree with Councilmember Irwin. Thank you, Dr. Miller, for your work on this commission. And thank the other commissioners as well. We really appreciate it. And I think the idea of an independent website is excellent. Excellent idea. Long overdue. People should be able to Google up Thousand Oaks Civic Plaza and go right to a dedicated website, and I think there's a lot of potential there. So I appreciate that idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And credit goes to our director, Barry McComb, for furthering and pursuing that significant effort for us. That should enhance the offerings of the theaters. Thanks to all of you members of the council, and I'll convey your appreciation as well to fellow members of the commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do have a question from Mr. McComb, though, briefly, before you leave. Pardon me? Yeah, we do have a speaker card, but this is receive and file. But I was just wondering, the staff report said that the CEF also includes sporting events, but I do know that we have a separate endowment for that. Just wanted to clarify, and it wasn't mentioned by the speaker tonight, by Dr. Miller. So do we cover arts as well as sports with this one?
Yeah, it is split between the two. The library oversees the sporting component, and we see the cultural side of it.
Oh, okay, so it is covered by that. And I thought sports had $100,000 on its own.
It may very well. Yes, I'm getting a yes from the library director.
Okay, so sports has $100,000 on its own and is still part of the CEF of the other $100,000?
Correct.
Oh.
I don't know, are they two separate endowment funds? Yep, two separate endowment funds.
But sports gets a piece of the pie of both pies?
Just the library side. So that was a missed statement in the staff report.
Okay.
Actually going back to when they were combined, and they were just recently split into two separate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to clarify that. All right. Thank you very much. We do have a speaker, and that is Mr. Nick Kidwai, if he's here, but he may have left. Okay, there really was no formal vote required other than to receive and file. All right. We then move on to the Business Roundtable, which is 9B, and that will be presented by our Economic Development Director, Mr. Haider Alawami. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Council. For your consideration tonight is the next 2-year work plan for the Business Roundtable. Currently, there are 5 tasks that were assigned by the Council during the last 2 years for the Business Roundtable. These are small business support, signage, entitlement and permit processing, Thousand Oaks Boulevard specific plan, and the 5th is create opportunity for regular community forum. The Roundtable, as part of the staff report tonight, recommends that the Council continue 4 of these tasks and eliminate the Thousand Oaks Boulevard specific plan, since the plan was adopted by the City Council at the end of 2011. It's also the Roundtable also recommends that the 5th task, which is create opportunities for regular community forum, to be included as part of task number 1, which is the small business support. The 2 items are kind of related, so that's part of their recommendation is to include the 2 together. With regard to the progress of the last 2 years, members of the Roundtable through the subcommittees had several meetings with city staff to discuss the signage issue through the municipal code amendment that was initiated by the City Council, and entitlement and permit processing, and they made considerable progress in both areas. However, because of the complexity of those 2 topics, they still need more time to continue their review and their meeting with staff to come up with a recommendation to the City Council. So for the new work plan, the Business Roundtable recommends that the Council add 2 new tasks to their work plan. One of them is the economic development, and the second one is green business. The details of these 2 items are in the staff report. As a result, because 3 tasks will be carried over from the last 2 years to the next 2 years, and 2 additional tasks being included, there will be 5 subcommittees in the Business Roundtable to tackle those 5 tasks, and they are small business support, signage subcommittee, development and planning subcommittee, green business, and economic development. In addition, staff is recommending that because of the lack of funding for the commercial revitalization program, because of the elimination of RDM agency, that the program to be deleted from the Business Roundtable resolution, and that's the attached resolution you have before you tonight. We have here Tammy Helmuth. She's the chair of the Business Roundtable. If you have any question for her or for me, we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alawami. We have a question from Mr. Adam.
Okay, now I was going to ask you about that commercial revitalization program, but I think you answered my question. It was tied to the redevelopment agency, and
correct.
We don't have any more redevelopment agency, so now I see why that program was rescinded. On this business of signage, I may be wrong here, but hasn't the Roundtable been considering that for some time now?
They have been considering that for a few years, yes. It's complicated, especially the sign ordinance, because there's so many components of it, and each item, they have to look at it not just from the planning and zoning, but the legal aspect of it as well. So there has been a lot of discussion with staff and several meetings to tackle the sign ordinance part by part to come up with recommendation. It takes a long time to do that.
Now, I understand the complexities of the different ordinances and the politics involved and all that. I for one would like to see that issue come to a head, though, and because I think there's other issues that, again, I for one would like to see the Business Roundtable pursue. In fact, I'll throw one out there. It's not actually on the task, but as I've stated a number of times in these meetings, I think it's very important in this age of dwindling revenues that the city attracts new business. And an issue that I'd like to see the Roundtable take up is the one of incentives. A lot of cities provide incentives, financial incentives, fee incentives, there's all kinds, to attract business. And it's a little controversial whether or not that should be done, and is it in the long run in the best interest of the city? Is it in the long run the best interest of the taxpayer? But if you can squeeze that into your tasks, I would be interested in some sort of a report back about offering incentives to attract business to Thousand Oaks. It's done in Simi Valley. It's done in a number of cities. And we've shied away from that for a lot of good reasons, but I think, again, I for one, it's something I'd like to take a look at.
Mr. Mitnick, I think will like to answer that question for you.
Okay. So the study's already done?
No, Madam Mayor, member of the council, those type of financial incentives, they actually have been looked at, and it's been the city council's policy not to do that or subsidize private business that way. But also, if you have the Business Roundtable look at it, there might be somewhat of a conflict of interest, because they'd be looking at incentives that they would benefit from. So we could, as staff, we could start by providing a summary of what cities in Ventura County do, or Santa Barbara County and Western LA County, so you can have a menu, or at least you can have a comparative analysis that shows you what the other communities do. Because I think we did that a number of years ago. That might be a good starting point, and then from there, if you want the Business Roundtable or staff to do analysis of options, it could do that. But it will ultimately come down to money, financial incentives out of the general fund or some other source. So.
And if I may, Councilmember Adam, I think one of the new tasks that we as a Business Roundtable wanted to add with regards to dwindling revenue was to have an economic development committee and a task assigned. And with that, we included working with the local universities, military bases, and organizations as a resource to develop new revenue streams coming in. So that was one of the new tasks we added on.
I did see that. That's great. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of no greater purpose for the Business Roundtable than to encourage and attract business. I guess I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mitnick, and it is a question of degree. I don't want to give away the store, obviously, but I want to be competitive with other cities, and we could. I'm sure there's zero, and then there's minimal amounts, and it goes all the way up to way too much. So, but it might, if you think the staff should prepare it, I mean, it would be interesting to see, as you say, what other cities are doing and what options we may or may not have. I don't think it's anything we need to see immediately. But if you don't think the Business Roundtable would be the appropriate body to do that, then perhaps we could get a report from staff one of these days on that.
Yes, I would concur with that. I mean, other cities, I'm sure, they develop their own incentives, if they have incentives, because of their own research. And I don't know whether they saw a conflict of interest, but I don't know whether they looked at other cities in order to avoid an internal conflict of interest. But I would imagine that we can do this without any sort of conflicts at all. I had Mrs. Irwin and then Mr. Price.
Thank you. I don't know if this question is for Ms. Helmuth or Mr. Alawami. I suppose the answer is the same as it was for the sign ordinance, but we've been talking about streamlining. One of the ways to really help businesses is to streamline the entitlement and permit processing. And I think we've been looking at this it's been more than 2 years, right?
Yes.
So I guess if it was a 2-year work plan, it's been 4 years. So are we, I know you've said it's very complicated, but are we moving in some direction where business people are telling us that our processes are getting cleaner and easier to deal with?
Yes, the subcommittee, Susan Murata and Dallas Ford. Yeah, been meeting with city staff, Mark Town, John Prescott, and John Shepard. And they talking about streamlining some of the permitted uses that right now require a planning commission hearing, and in the past those are kind of routine applications. So they're trying to move them down to administrative processing, and some of them that's been administrative process that's again routine could be processed simpler and faster process. So they need to break down the land uses in each zone and get those uses that could be processed administratively. And they've been working on that land use table. And that's coming up soon as a municipal code amendment, initiation of municipal code amendment to the zoning ordinance. So they've been working on that, and just recently there's been a lot of progress on that aspect of it.
All right. Thank you.
And we are getting a lot of positive statements in regards to this. We do hear from local businesses that are sending compliments our way.
All right. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Mr. Price?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too have heard some of those compliments from new businesses in town, but I've also heard that some of the stumbling blocks may come from the county level. So, and I recognize that there's not much we can do there. With respect to the fees and allowances, I think that's one of the things that kind of makes TO a little bit unique, is that everybody competes on a level playing field. Not that I don't think that we could benefit from a staff report that maybe might even bear that out, but I do think that's one thing that makes us unique here. And I also think that with what appears to be a little bit of the turning of the tide with respect to the economy, I'm hopeful that your hard work and the work of your commission might aid in bringing some new businesses into town. So I thank you for your work and your dedication and your entire committee there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm looking for a motion to approve the recommendation 1 and recommendation number 2 for the Business Roundtable. Mrs. Irwin?
I'll move staff recommendation 1 and 2.
Please vote.
The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. We now move to item 10, department reports.
Thank you.
10A. And that is going to be presented by our Public Works Director, Mr. Jay Spurgeon. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And City Council Member, we are back with recommendations for extending our solid waste refuse collection franchise agreements. With me on the dais tonight are John Brooks and Chris Ball. These gentlemen basically run the solid waste and environmental programs here at the city. Back on April 23rd, we presented to City Council at that meeting the rate study that had been prepared by HF&H Consultants. You recall that one of the basic conclusions of that study was that Thousand Oaks solid waste rates are reasonable, and that we, in fact, end up in the middle of the pack when compared to other agencies, both in the county and in the LA Basin as well. We had a good discussion at that meeting, both from the public and council members. A number of areas of interest that were discussed, and I wanted to point those out here. It was important to maintain existing environmental programs and partnerships that we currently have, and these are essential to meeting future regulations, one of which primarily being AB 341, which requires 75% diversion by 2020. That's a big goal to meet, and we need to, as we discussed, then we need to maintain what we have, the infrastructure in place, the partnerships that we have, the contracts and programs that we already have in place. One of the things that we had brought to you at that time was already some negotiated concessions from the haulers for extension, and that included over $3 million of savings over the life of the contract for residential ratepayers. That was important that those savings not be lost. In fact, I think Council wanted to see those expanded, as well as lower rates for all ratepayers, not just the residential, but commercial and businesses as well. And then to augment franchise fees, as the study showed that we were not quite at the average in terms of what other agencies are charging for franchise fees. We also talked about the excellent customer service as evidenced by community attitude survey, and you remember we looked at some of the results of that questionnaire. So following that meeting, Council directed staff to go back and negotiate further with our rate haulers and with our haulers. And so we're here to give you the results. This is a package that I'm actually very proud and excited to present to you. Its value over the life of the contract is just under $11 million. Before I go on, actually, I want to acknowledge our negotiating team on the city staff that participated. Our city attorney, Tracy Noonan, helped us out here. Both John and Chris did, as well as our division manager, Joanne Kelly. But you know, it takes both sides to negotiate, and it was very evident that the partnerships, the good working relationships that we developed over the years with our haulers carried over on into the negotiating room and across the negotiating table. And I want to just acknowledge both Waste Management, Mike Smith, who's here with us tonight, the Harrisons, Jim Harrison and his team, very professional, very forthright, and you know, ultimately we have an extremely valuable package here for our ratepayers, our taxpayers, for the city that we're going to present here. So almost $11 million in value. And that includes savings to residents and businesses of about $8.6 million. Again, this is through the life of the contract, which is 2021. I want to point out that residential rate reductions total cumulatively compounded 7.25%. So that's a significant reduction in rates that we're able to offer our residents through these new contracts. Additional revenue to the city is $2 million. General fund cost savings, $160,000. This is the best package easily that we've been able to present to you in many years. So I want to just go through some of the more detailed items in residential quickly. Residential agreements. This is for a 3-year term extension to 2021. The next time that we have a decision point for extension is 2018. That's the opportunity that we'd be able to sit down and negotiate anything further for whether or not we wanted to extend the contract at that time beyond 2021. Continuing with residential, there'll be a rate freeze for 2013. We're actually enjoying that now. That's equivalent to a 2.3% rate reduction. In 2014, the residential rates will actually drop 1%. When you add the inflationary number that won't be applied, that's a 3.3% reduction. And then in 2015, there would be half of the Consumer Price Index, CPI, for a 1.15% reduction. That's compounded, totaling 7.25% rate reduction for residential. We were able to negotiate an increase of 1% in our franchise fee, so that'll go to 9%. That's through the entire length of the contract. And so, in summary, for the residential agreements, the savings to residential customers, $6 million. General fund revenue, $825,000, totaling a little over $6.8 million of value in these agreements. On the commercial side, we felt that there was value and that it would be good to have both the commercial and the residential agreements expire in the same year. Previously, they were offset by 3 years. So what we're proposing is that the commercial agreement be extended an additional 3 years, so it also ends in 2021, and the decision point would be the same as for residential in 2018. So the commercial rates, there's a rate freeze in 2014. That's a 2.3% rate reduction. Half of CPI, similar. Total compounded commercial rate reduction, 3.5%. As for residential, there'll be a 1% increase in the franchise fee on the commercial side. And then we were able to negotiate a franchise extension fee because it was acknowledged by all parties that additional three-year extension for the commercial contract has value. And so in exchange for that, we were able to negotiate an extension fee of $750,000 that would be paid over the 7 years, 7.5 years, about $100,000 per year. Again, that's additional general fund revenue. To summarize, on the commercial side, savings to our commercial and business customers, $2.6 million, total of $1.2 million in additional city revenue. General fund cost savings of $160,000. These come from our landscape green waste disposal being done at no charge. That's from the Municipal Service Center, as well as support for special events, which would have cost us some dollars. Total here for the commercial for benefits on this side, over $3.9 million. So again, to summarize, this is almost an $11 million package. The negotiating teams were great on both sides. It was a pleasure to do this, to go through this. Again, I appreciate the haulers and their willingness to come to the table and provide such a valuable package to our residents and our ratepayers, our taxpayers. It really demonstrates the partnerships that we enjoy, I think, in being able to present this to you. So with that, our recommendation is to approve a resolution and the various agreements that provide for the extensions as noted along with the benefits that were presented. So happy to answer questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Spurgeon. Are there any questions of Mr. Spurgeon regarding this? None? Okay, we do have a speaker card, and I think that the speaker may have already left, but it is Mr. Nick Kidwai. All right, that was the only speaker card we had. Then any council discussion or motion? Mr. Adam.
Yes, thank you. Well, isn't this unusual? I must say, I mean, in an age where every time I get a bill at home, it seems to be rising, like the TV cable bill, for example. Hey, honey, that's up again. The water bill, if you have an adjustable rate mortgage, those are on the rise. Here in Thousand Oaks, you're going to get a bill at your home for waste services that's going to be less. Now that, to me, is pretty unusual. A $10 million savings. Yeah, to me, this is a triple win. It's a win for the residents of Thousand Oaks, it's a win for the businesses of Thousand Oaks, and it's a win for the city of Thousand Oaks, which is here to provide essential services for the citizens of our town. So I mean, I read this thing pretty closely. I can find nothing disagreeable about it. Our providers have done a great job. They have a 95% consumer approval rate for your services, and I have absolutely no problem in moving that we recommend the 2 extensions to Waste Management and to Harrison, and all the terms listed therein.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. And I do have a question. I will direct your attention to a supplemental packet tonight. And there was a comment about residents paying twice for street sweeping, and I was wondering whether staff could address that.
I think it's a misunderstanding in terms of how the billing is done. Street sweeping was added to the contracts in 2010, I believe it was. And at that time, $1 per resident per month was added. And so if a resident paid his bill, normally it comes on a 2-month basis, so it would be $2, and I'm not I think that may be the explanation here.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions, comments regarding the motion, Mrs. Irwin?
I am going to support Mr. Adams' motion, and he did actually make all the good points. But I'd like to say it was very difficult when this first came up. I think we went for a very long time without an RFP, and if I kind of gauged how the council was, I think we were all sort of leaning in the direction of going out for an RFP. But as we looked closer at how satisfied our residents are with the services provided by Waste Management and Harrison, and the great partnerships with Agriman also, I think we started to get a little anxious about going out for RFP and coming back potentially with an unknown. So I appreciate that a year and a half ago that the 2 companies got together and offered to pay for a independent study, and that really helped us see, close the deal, see what type of services you were providing and what a great deal we were getting, and then to be willing to come back to the table and negotiate these extra savings. It's been, I never thought it would turn out like this. I didn't think that we would have nobody protesting in the audience, because it's just a winner all around for the residents, for the city, and for these companies that can continue to do the great work, the great environmental work that they do. So again, I'm happy to support the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Price.
Yes, thank you. I actually began my council career, and this was one of the first things that was thrust upon the council, and it was something that I thought was going to be a very polarizing event. I want to commend the haulers for coming and sitting down at the table and really, as the mayor asked, or maybe even directed, sharpening their pencil and coming back with something that is most beneficial to our residents here. I too thought that we were probably going to go the way of the RFP, and after that very comprehensive and very thick and exhaustive study, I learned more about the solid waste hauling than I ever thought I would know. And HFH, whoever knew that there was a business that's all they do, is those sorts of rate studies. So that was very telling to me, and that we have the partners that we do. It's great. It is, in fact, a win for Thousand Oaks, and I commend all of you who are involved. So with that, I will, of course, be supporting the motion as well.
Needless to say, I will support the motion as well. The winners in these negotiations are the residents of Thousand Oaks as well as the business owners of Thousand Oaks, and I thank you and appreciate you for your willingness to negotiate a very competitive contract. So with that, I will ask that we vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. And our next item would be item number 12, follow-up reports on meetings and conferences attended by Councilmember Price. Mr. Price.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did, in fact, attend the California League of Cities or League of California Cities Public Safety Committee meeting just a few weeks ago. We had a number of subcommittees that had been meeting in regards to a number of different issues. I was asked to chair one of them, and that dealt with gun violence. And one of the things that came out of our committee was that there was a bill passed by, it was actually authored by Senator Leno, and it actually was passed and signed into law, wherein $24 million was taken from the Department of Justice dealer record of sale fees and given to the State Department of Justice to enforce what is called the adult prohibited possessors list. And that's a list that one finds themselves on if they are newly convicted of a felony, somebody who has recently been has a restraining order against them, or somebody who has been adjudged mentally incompetent. And I was surprised to learn that we had a number of folks in the city backing up. If any one of those three things happens, you are supposed to turn your weapons into local law enforcement. And I was particularly interested to know how many folks we had living in our community that were on that list and hadn't yet turned their weapons in. So the subcommittee came up with the recommendation that we try and maybe fix something that was already done, and whether or not that's ever going to happen, I don't know, but it was to try and get some of that $24 million to filter down to the local level so that local law enforcement could deal with the problem at a local level. It remains to be seen whether or not that is going to happen. There were a number of other issues that were dealt with in regards to radio interoperability between different agencies and transportation of medical transportation issues. But it was a very good meeting, and that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Now to Mr. Mitnick for any follow-up items and announcements.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, again, we heard comments earlier about Hooters and the viewshed issues, and staff has talked to those individuals, and we will meet with them as needed, and we'll provide updates to the council accordingly. The next council meeting is July 9th. Oh, by the way, we did recognize somebody from Little League, and I would be remiss if I didn't make a plug for the various Little Leagues in the region, or in the city and the region. They will start all-star play this week, and hopefully they'll be playing for many weeks to come. Sorry for the plug. Okay, the next city council meeting is July 9th, and at this point in time, it looks like we'll have a few public hearings. One has to do with a zone change to allow up to 12 dwelling units on Chiquita Lane, a street name change for a road in Thousand Oaks, the taxi permit ordinance update, and then the indoor swap meet project comes back to City Council at that time. Department reports, we will have a follow-up on the Sister City proposal. Staff has done most of its research and worked with a community group, and we will come back with a recommendation. And then a whole lot of consent calendar items. And the reason for that is it looks like that'll be the last council meeting before the summer break. And the mayor has requested that City Council adhere to our tradition here, and that is to have summer attire for the month of July, for the one meeting on July 9th. That's it. Thank you.
That is correct, and the summary dress code is optional. I just ask that you not wear tank tops and flip-flops. All right. Now we will go to closed sessions, and those will be announced by our City Attorney, Tracy Noonan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 3 closed session matters tonight. First is conference with real property negotiators for the property at 6,800 square foot parcel directly northeast of 2650 Willow Lane. City negotiators are Mohammed Fatimi, Engineering Division Manager, and Christopher Norman, Assistant City Attorney. The negotiating parties is Mark Sellers, Attorney for the owner, and under negotiation includes the price and terms of sale pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Second closed session is conference with real property negotiators for property APN 66703400175 located on the south side of Canejo Center Drive at the intersection of Canejo Spectrum Street within the Rancho Canejo specific plan. City negotiators are John Prescott, Community Development Director, and Christopher Norman, Assistant City Attorney. Negotiating parties is Casey Burke, Senior Vice President of Meta Housing Corporation, and Tom Cohen, Counsel. Under negotiation, include price and terms and conditions of sale pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. And the final closed session matter is conference with labor negotiators. City designated representatives, Human Resources Director Gary Rogers and Finance Director John Adams, employee organizations, TOSIA, TOMA, and SMA, and the executive managers, Assistant City Manager, Finance Director, Community Development Director, Public Works Director, City Clerk, Human Resources Director, Cultural Affairs Director, and Library Director, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. It is unlikely I will have anything to report following these closed session matters.
Thank you, Mrs. Noonan. Tonight's meeting, we will adjourn in memory of Eugene Paul Ogden. I'm not sure whether we have a photograph of him. If we do, here we are. Very good. We are adjourning tonight's meeting in memory of Eugene, who passed away on June 2nd. Gene proudly served his country for 20 years in the U.S. Navy, and he spent many years after supporting other veterans through the Veterans of Foreign Wars and the city. He was instrumental in starting the Military Services Journal in 2009, and he was instrumental in organizing the flag ceremony with the city. Last year, Gene was recognized by Congress for his involvement in the annual Ventura County Stand Down. He will always be remembered for his dedication, hard work, and willingness to always help other veterans and be involved in the community. Gene is survived by his wife of 55 years, Patricia Ogden, his brother, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. On behalf of the Thousand Oaks City Council, we send our thoughts and condolences to Patricia and the entire Ogden family. Good night, and we will see you on July 9th, our final council meeting before the summer break.